there was a lot of fear around me starting my journey as an entrepreneur at 22, 23 years old, and rightfully so. Within the people that I knew, it was sometimes my family and my close friends where it was their fear that got in the way that said like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? It's kind of the road less traveled. And so it's great to love those people and to have them in your life. But when you're talking about entrepreneurship, start with people that you know will push you. And even if they're afraid for you, they'll still cheer you on. There's so many ways for people within your circle to support you.
Pull up a chair. You're sitting at the table with Powerhouse Women, the podcast where bold women in business come to connect, collaborate, and build something bigger than themselves.
We always say, if you're fortunate to have a seat at the table, pull up 3 more. That's exactly what we're doing here.
This isn't just a conversation, it's a movement. We're creating space at the table for conversations that matter. The ones that challenge you, push you, and remind you that you do not have to do this alone.
Every episode, we're talking growth, success, and the real, unfiltered truths of entrepreneurship. No gatekeeping,
no fluff, just the perspective and community that you need to thrive. So, if you're ready to surround yourself with women who get it, you're in the right place, and there is already a seat with your name on it.
What's up, Powerhouses?
Today, we're pulling up a chair for Pearl Farquharson, founder, CEO, and creative director of Delsie, an award-winning destination event and experiential design studio that has been redefining what luxury looks, feels, and lives like for over 9 years. From weddings and corporate activations to destination experiences, Pearl has produced 400 plus events for brands like Chanel, Nordstrom, Adidas, and her work has been featured in Vogue, the New York Times, Essence, and Brides. She was named the U.S. Small Business Administration's 2024 Minority Business Owner of the Year. Pearl, welcome to the table.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you both and your community. Thank you so much for having me.
I love it. I'm impressed. So you should be proud of everything you've accomplished. Let's jump into it. We'll start with your background and then we'll kind of get into Delsie and how you've started it. So you have this really interesting educational background. You have the culinary arts and hospitality background from when you went to school. How did those two things converge into what Delsie is today, and what made you go into both of those educational backgrounds?
So, Kelsey, looking back at my journey, it sort of all fell into place. But when I was going through my journey, I really felt like I was a little bit lost. And so I guess I'd love to start from the very beginning. And I would love to take you back to when I was 6 years old, because as a young child, my background, my family is from Jamaica. And one of my favorite childhood memories growing up was on Sundays when my family would congregate at my father's home, and there was amazing food, great music, and I was just always inspired by my family coming together. And I discovered very early on, I said to myself, wow, hospitality has the power to like solve world peace, because when everybody comes together, there's great food, there's great music. It's like magic. And I was really intrigued by that. And growing up, I had such a love for cooking, and so I initially thought that I wanted to be the world's greatest chef after watching Emeril Lagasse back in the day, right? But then after enrolling into into college at Johnson and Wales University with my culinary arts degree, I immediately discovered like, oh my gosh, I have to be in a cold kitchen for 8 hours a day. I couldn't wear makeup. I didn't have style. I was like, oh, no, I'm not sure. But I knew that I wanted to stick with the program. I knew that this was my passion, so I persevered. And simultaneously, I was working as a fashion stylist for a luxury fashion brand, and I loved my work there. I went to school full time. I worked full time and decided that I wanted to really connect more with people. And so that is why I pursued a second degree in hospitality. And when I graduated, I had the most amazing opportunity to start my hospitality career working for one of the nation's top caterers and event planners. And I instantly fell in love. And it's hard to believe that that was over 15 years ago. And back then, the one thing I felt that was really missing from the world of luxury hospitality was very much the opportunity for clients and individuals to simply just be themselves and to express who they were, their personal style, their culture, embracing who they were naturally and authentically with the highest level of service and flair. And so I felt that that was really what was missing in our industry at this time. And I felt that that is perhaps something that I was really passionate about. And so I took that and I ran with it. And at the tender age of 22 years old, the brand Delsie, which stands for Delivering Exceptional Luxury Services with Integrity and Elegance, was born. It has definitely taken on its own shapes and forms throughout the years, and I'm so grateful for the years later. We're still here, and we're still creating magical and memorable experiences that are rooted in authenticity and self-expression.
I love it. Pearl, I'm curious. Obviously, you didn't end up in like the cold kitchen, but what's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, see, that's a question I get asked often. And I will say that my favorite thing to make is your favorite thing to eat. Because for me, I love to, like, I feel like cooking is like my love language. And I love to see the facial expression of my friends who eat their favorite thing that I make. And so, like, for me, I'm such a creative person. I don't have this one thing, but I love to see the reaction of like what you'll like of your favorite thing to make. So, my favorite thing to eat though is definitely brunch. So, wherever I am in the world, like the world has to stop still for me to find a great brunch. Like, you cannot have a bad day when you have a great brunch. So, that's my favorite thing to eat.
I live by that also. I've found myself, I go to brunch now on Sundays. It's like my little like my weekend ritual, and I'm the same way. I love a good mimosa and I love a good brunch.
I mean, it sounds like a perfect start to a great way to wind down the weekend or a great way to start it.
For sure. So you started Delsie where? Was it in Boston, essentially?
Yeah, I started Delsie in Boston. And so, as I've mentioned, like Delsie has taken on many different forms throughout the years. Currently, we have rebranded recently last year, and we have had the event planning and design firm for about 9 years. However, Delsie actually started as a boutique catering and fine dining catering company in the Boston area. And so I did use my culinary skills at some point for sure. And so at the time, I really wanted to start with creating a concept of like food art, right? Making food be the star of the show and making it beautiful and pretty and elevated. And I feel like that is where we were really known for in the fashion world, in the luxury space, and that's how we started to create a name for ourselves. And I think one of the biggest things that I had to realize that was crucial for where I am today is when I realized that that was great for the moment in time that it served me, but I had bigger dreams. Like I wanted to be able to not just make food pretty, but the entire experience. And I wanted to be able to take that passion and creativity all over the world. And pivoting, as I know that you both have an incredible amount of experience with, I'm sure the community does as well too. I think it's always important to sort of like listen not only to your inner voice, but just be observant about, does your business work for you? Does your are you excited about the work that you're doing? And if in the event that something's calling you for something bigger and greater, to not be afraid to sort of pursue that, but also with a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to like pivot and recognize that is one of the biggest things. Let's talk a little bit about that and just like the evolution of your business and how it came to be. I mean, it's very easy to, talk about all the incredible things you have now and your track record and these major companies that you've worked with, but I'm sure that wasn't always the case. So how did you kind of like have that vision, when you were just starting out or as you were starting to like take steps in your business to take it to the next level?
You know, Carly, I often look back. I'm always a big dreamer, and I often look back at that fearless, naive 22, 23-year-old girl straight out of college. I'm like, I need to manifest her more, because back in the day, I didn't even though it was definitely a challenge, I will say, because not only was I still learning my craft of event planning, design, service, but I was also building a company simultaneously. And I thought that was like what normal people did. Because my circle were more older, more professional entrepreneurs. And so I think that it was really challenging to be young, um, a professional and entrepreneur, a woman, and having to advocate for myself. I remember vividly going to events, and a guest would say, "Oh my goodness, like, who's the owner? This is great." And I'd be like, "Oh, well, I am." And people couldn't believe it. And so early on, I always felt that I even if I personally didn't have the confidence, because sometimes I struggled, and naturally when you're starting out, you're wondering, especially with an innovative concept, is this something that people are going to like? This is new, it hasn't been done before. There's no track record. I'm young. What is my experience? All of those things are always, I just think it's natural for it to play in our minds. And I one of my biggest things is like online when people are like, "Oh no, that doesn't exist." No, like that inner self talk absolutely does. But the one thing that I have been very grateful for is that I've always placed an emphasis on the quality of my work, right? Because in my industry, art is subjective, experience is subjective, but you cannot argue with high quality work. And so I wanted to make sure that my service was amazing. The service of my team was extraordinary, and we just focused on doing, the best that we could for where we were at the time, and building upon that. And so I would say that the way that I personally overcame some of those challenges of things I really couldn't, you know, I couldn't control, like my age and my experience, is by just making sure that the work that I put out was um, second to none. And so just, there's Oprah Winfrey has this saying that I love. She says, "Become so excellent at what you do that they can't ignore you." And, work so hard that let success be your noise. And that's how I've sort of combated some of that energy, that some of those negative things in my mind throughout the years, if that makes sense.
For sure. For sure. I was going to say too, it's funny because last episode we talked about how dress code is kind of dead now, um, compared to how it was years and years and years ago and how women had to dress. And so with your fashion styling background as well, I'm sure that played a role when you first started the company to show up in as your best self, presentable, and even though you were on the younger side, I'm sure that also played a role in where people respected you.
Of course. Oh my goodness. I wholeheartedly, and I think that like I'm such a nerd. This is where the nerdy part of me comes out, because I'll always say, oh, my favorite motivational speaker is this, because so I'm gonna use Michelle Obama, right? She says that she uses fashion as a tool. And I heard this very early on, but we do live in a world, and I know that this sucks and it sounds super superficial, but unfortunately we do live in a world where we are judged before we even open up our mouth to speak, or our first impressions matter, and that is often our style. And for me, I've always loved, the self-expression is my art form, and so style comes with that. I very much believe that a person should embrace their individual style, and so I always say, do what sparks joy. But when we are thinking about building a brand, like, you are your own brand, whether you want to believe it or not. Like, everything that you say, everything that you do, every touch point that you have, like, people will remember that. And I like to see it as an opportunity of, how can I be remembered for the good? And so my individual style is definitely an expression. And I've also used it as a tool where I realized that if I wore, let's say, a statement piece, right, that it could just be maybe a bracelet, or it could be a pair of earrings, or just something, it would actually be a conversational starter. And so whenever I go into a networking event, that's honestly, that's how I find my favorite friends. I'm just like, who has an interesting piece that they're wearing that I could talk about, and that's sort of how I make my friends. But to each his own. But what I will say is that style is, I do agree with you, Kelsey. It's sometimes some of the one of the most underlooked things in the total package. Yes, it is important to have the education. Yes, it is important to put out great service, but style is very much the icing on the cake and the cherry on top. Okay. It is going to be the thing that separates the great from the extraordinary. And so I think style is incredibly important.
Yeah. And it's essentially like the first impression, right? So you started
Mhm.
this company and people are coming to your event and they're like, who is the owner? And then they see you and you're dressed, you know, appropriately and fashion forward and this and that. And um, they immediately are probably drawn to you because not only do you have a great personality, but you also have that style aspect too. And you automatically gain that respect.
Course. And think about it. Like, if you were going shopping, and if you're walking down the street and you have all of these boutiques to select from, wouldn't you select the boutique that's going to put their best foot forward? I always like to say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I teach my team that, it's the presentation is so important, because, like, I think from a professional perspective, whether you're in hospitality or real estate or whatever industry that you're in, like, you want to put out a professional demeanor, like, whatever, so that you earn that trust and credibility. So I wholeheartedly agree with you, Kelsey.
Now, let's dive into more about Delsie, right? It kind of goes along with what we were just talking about, but the brand has a very clear aesthetic. It's very intentional, sensory, evocative. So, how did you develop that signature aesthetic, right? And make it into something that clients immediately recognize?
Hmm. You know, I think that my personal style, Delsey's signature style, I will say, is, and it's a matchmaking process. I think that I am not able to produce my greatest work without the inspiration of my clients. It is my clients that inspire me. And beyond just who they are, I'm very much inspired by a story. For me, when I think about if anyone were to view our portfolio, it's in, everything that we do is incredibly different and very much bespoke. But for me, when I design and create for a client, I want to know what's their story so that I understand their why. And I think that the best experiences are those that when a guest walks into a room, they're like, oh my goodness, this is immediately like so the client, right? And that's when I know that I have done my job. I always like to think about what's beyond the pretty, right? The pretty is given. Like, but why are we doing this? Like, what's the story behind it? What's the mission? What's the mission? Because long after everything is just said and done, it really needs to resonate with our clients, and that's very much what we try to do. And I think for me, I always like to create as if I'm the one that's going to the party. Okay, so going back to my Jamaican roots, like one of my favorite things about our family gatherings is the energy. There is something to be said about the all of the secret sauces that make up amazing energy, and that's to be remembered, whether it's the entertainment, the food, the music, the people, the community. And so I'm always thinking about the guest experience as the top priority. So the client and the guest experience is what hallmarks the foundation of what we do, and then we use that in order to create an amazing story with the client's aesthetic in mind. You can't grow unless you embrace partnering, right? One of my favorite sayings is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Early in the first, I would say the first several hires of my company, I wanted to I very much felt that there were a few things that I felt I did very successfully. The first is that I always assumed the best. I always assumed good, right? I always assumed that someone, if I have a gut feeling about a person, they're going to want to do the best that they can for Delsie, okay? And so rather than just focusing solely on the functional skills, I thought of what is needed for the job. For example, someone who understands Canva and can, and can do different tasks in a certain software. You can teach those skills to anyone, but what you can't teach is heart and soul. And so there are so many other intangible skills that I felt was really important. And I wrote the list. Okay. I'm the type of person, like I would recommend for anyone, write a list of like your dream person. Like what are some of those skills those functional skills that you need for the position? Also versus the what like things that couldn't necessarily teach. Right. So those that je ne sais quoi, right? My first couple of hires were actually interns. So I was able to partner with my alma mater, Johnson Wales University, where we started a program to that I was working with interns that eventually went on to become part of my production team. I would also say, like, I have a rule within my team that I am not allowed to be upset if I haven't actually documented the process. So for those who are, I feel a little nervous about relinquishing control, I would say to document your process and how you want it to be. And that is going to be so much easier, not only for the person that you're training, but just for yourself as well to know that you have a peace of mind. A lot of times, and then the third thing I will say that has really been crucial is that I always, within my team, I always think about everyone's talents and gifts. I very much operate in my own zone of genius where my superpower is creating the experience, understanding our clients in terms of what is meaningful for them. I'm the life of the party. If you ask me to be calm and mellow, I'm not it. I'm not it. I just know, right? However, on my team, I have amazing concierges who are so calm and quiet and mellow. And so I feel that I have been able to identify the passions, the skills, and the gifts of my team and place them in their rightful positions that not only are they great at, but they're passionate about. And if you understand the talents and gifts of your team and you place them in an environment for them to thrive, my goodness, they will do extraordinary for you. And I feel that those are some of the tools and tips that I personally use that has been really crucial to the success of our company and our team.
I think that's huge, because you have to understand that everybody's not going to be good at everything, right? And that's probably something people overlook a lot. Like, don't try to expect everybody that you hire to be amazing at everything. Just focus on like really what they're good at and what they're talented at. And yeah, I think that makes a huge difference.
Exactly.
I think we're talking about hiring and what that process has looked like and building out your team, but how do you feel like you've evolved into like a leader over the years too? I think, you've obviously found these strengths with your employees, but then like leading people is a whole nother thing. How do you think you like show up as a leader?
Hmm. I thinking about my team, I smile to myself because we're sort of like a family now. It's taken a long time to get here. I've worked with several members of my team for 7 years, and each season we continually to get better and better. My leadership style, there's not a right or wrong leadership style, but for me, my leadership style is very much working alongside my team members. I want them to feel that they're included and everyone is valued and created equally. I if any of you were on site for my events, my team literally fires me because they're like, Pearl, listen, we've got this, like go away. And it's actually really great to see because it means that often as leaders, we want to have control over everything. But I think that for me, my goal is to simply create the environment for my team to thrive. And I also understand that, and sometimes in order for them to thrive, you do need to take a step back and allow them to do their best work possible. It wasn't that way. I didn't get there overnight, but I definitely have gotten there throughout the years. And I think what the part of my personal growth within being a leader is creating that open door where we can have real conversations about what is working and what is not. And when you're able to give your team a voice within building your business, they're going to own it like it's their own. And really, that I feel like that has been the secret sauce for our team at Delsie.
That's incredible. I mean, I think that's just kind of the way things are going now, especially in a creative space. Everybody wants to feel like, they have a role, they have a place there, that they're contributing to the success of something. And so if you can put them in a role that they're passionate about, then it allows them to, flourish and turn into this beautiful butterfly and do what they do best and alongside you. So I do think that that is incredible. Now, you're talking about your team. How many team members do you have now at this stage of Delsie?
So our production team is a team of seven. And we have seven production team members and one additional planner on our team.
Oh, it's a good size.
Mhm. Yeah.
What was your, I'm curious, what was your first hire when you first started Delsie?
So my first hire was actually a associate planner, and that was scary for me because I was very much used to being the entrepreneur, the planner, the designer, the producer, and everything. And when Dawn Marie came to me, she said that, listen, she was part of my production team, so she very much understood the way that our events were running. And she said, listen, I have 25 plus years of experience in this industry. I believe that I can be of value to you. And I didn't, in my mind, I thought my first hire would maybe be someone that wasn't that experienced. It's like, okay, my goodness, how do I run um how do I collaborate with someone and provide an environment for someone with 25 plus years of experience to thrive, right? And so I think that that first hire, it's we often sometimes I know that the first hire might be challenging for an entrepreneur. Like, should I hire someone that it has so much years of experience, or should I hire someone that can sort of I can take under my wing and teach them the ropes? There's not a right or wrong way to look at it. I just think that it's what is relevant for your business and the needs that you need at the time. And but I what I have realized is that investing in experts, especially in the luxury hospitality space, you absolutely do need that. And she was very much crucial to not only elevating the service, but it actually forced me to get my business and my systems into shape. Like, I couldn't have someone with all this experience and working for these amazing companies coming into my business without systems and processes. So if you're struggling with systems and processes, if you hire somebody, I'm sure it will whip you into shape quickly.
For sure. I heard somebody said recently, like, you have to hire people who are smarter than you.
Yeah,
Um, you know, you can't do it all alone. And if you hire people who are smarter than you that can take on those roles that maybe you're not, is not your strong suit, it will just only, make your business keep going up. And that's essentially what you want.
of course. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, Kelsey. And why would you want to hire someone just like you, right? That's boring. I think that when you because we all have our own gifts and we all have our own talents. And I feel that when you're able to really leverage that and see what is, and what is your own talents versus the talent and skill sets of your team, it's going to be absolutely incredible. Another book that I really love is a concept called buying back your time. And I believe that it's such a great tool because it's like, okay, it's great. So even for your anyone in the community that is thinking, well, I can't like I'm not sure if I'm in a position to hire my first hire. This book is amazing because it literally goes through, okay, like, how do you even just get started? Maybe it's not hiring someone full time, right? Maybe it's identifying a few key tasks that you want to offload and starting with a freelancer, right? But I think getting used to sort of offloading several tasks and starting small. There's no shame in starting small and manageable until you can do a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's actually how I started. It wasn't necessarily a full-time hire from the very beginning. It was just starting small and offloading. And as the business grew, so did the opportunity to for additional labor and support.
I haven't read Buy Back Your Time, but that sounds like a book that I want to read because I feel like I've been thinking about that so much lately. I think naturally you start to think about it as you get older. And I think entrepreneurs probably think about it even more. because we can work just like 24/7 if we want to. And like, you want that because you want your business to be busy and you want things to be growing and evolving. But then you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, like when is too much? And you realize how valuable your time is. And that time is like your most valuable asset. And I think once you realize that, then that's the challenging part of like, okay, how can I get more like free time in my life to do the things that bring me joy and fill my cup? And, I'm not just working 24/7. So I'd be curious to read that book for sure.
Absolutely. And the being an entrepreneur for so many years and having so many friends within my own community of entrepreneurs, we're very passionate people that love what we do and we love to work, but we created this business really as a way to sustain our lifestyle, not the other way around. And if we're able to identify ever so often, I have to sit down and ask myself, why did I create this business? What was my purpose and passion and impact that I wanted to give to the world, but not only the world, but to myself and my family and my community. And so you need to, you can only work so much, but working 80 hours a week for years on end is not necessarily sustainable, right? And so I feel that being able to partner with the right people so that you can delegate, so that you can have a sustainable, fulfilled life. I feel that business is incredibly important, but it's very much one part of a whole pie of life that's really important. And so your business also has to fit yourself and your lifestyle as well.
100%. I'm curious, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Like from the time you were a little girl, did you think you were going to be a business owner, or did that just like, how did that come to?
Apparently I always wanted to be an entrepreneur because my friends often remind me that when I was 12 years old, I don't remember this story, but apparently when I was 12 years old, we would wait at the bus stop early in the morning for the school bus to pick us up. And I identified a need where there were hungry kids on a bus and it was super early. And because we had to wait so early for the bus, no one really had time to make themselves breakfast or a good breakfast. So I would literally make eggs and like these really good like breakfast sandwiches and sell them for
That
money.
oh,
Yeah, and I
that's
was
so
like, oh,
cute.
and I do remember having a lot of money back in the day. So apparently that's why. But yeah, apparently I wanted to. My entrepreneurship journey started from the time I was 12, and I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I had oh my goodness, I had my whole life mapped out. I believe that when I was like 21, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to graduate college at 22. I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. I'm going to meet a man of my dreams. And so by 28, we're going to be engaged. By 30, we're going to be married. Then we're going to have a baby. And then by like 35, I would have gained all this experience. And then I would be able to like start my company. Nothing happened that way. Nothing. I'm still waiting for the man. But nothing happened that way, and that's okay. I think that life. I always knew that I wanted to entrepreneurship to me. It for me it was freedom, right? Entrepreneurship to me equals freedom because I grew up from very humble beginnings, and my mother, who, God bless her heart, we didn't have much growing up, but she always told me that, listen, if you have manners and etiquette and education, it will be the gateway to open the world for you or the lack thereof. And so she never placed an emphasis on the resources that we had or lack thereof. It was very much about etiquette, education, and manners. And growing up and seeing people in my community and my own family have less, it really actually I wanted to figure out how to, how to chase my dreams. And the reason why I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship, I believe that my purpose in life is to master entrepreneurship so that I can be able to teach entrepreneurship to women like my mother across the world so that they could take care of their families. And if you teach entrepreneurship to women and they could take care of their families, it changes communities. And that, I believe, is my way of adding to world peace. So it's kind of full circle for me in terms of why I chose the path of entrepreneurship.
I love it. And I love that you've been able to like identify what your purpose is. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. But it also helps to keep you going once you know that, right? Because like you understand like what you're working towards and what's important to you. Um, and I agree. I mean, I just think entrepreneurship in general opens up so many doors that a lot of people probably, myself included, like would have never thought would be opened. I think everybody kind of has this vision of like what you were saying, you just climb the corporate ladder and at a certain point you're capped. It's not so easy to climb the corporate ladder. And then once you like get into entrepreneurship and you realize how in how many ways it can change your life, I think it's incredible.
Absolutely. Definitely. And I think that it's also important that entrepreneurship, my entrepreneur friends and I, we always like to say we have to be a little bit of quote unquote crazy to pursue entrepreneurship because we only 10% of the world will take this path because it very much is a road less traveled. And there are so many benefits to pursuing this path. But I also believe that to be successful, community isn't very much important. I believe that I shared with you that sometimes my motivation does not come from within. It comes from listening and hearing and outside positive experiences and also the community that I'm a part of. And so no matter how amazing your idea is, you have to have community around you in order to pursue that dream. And so I really admire the community that you both have built, Carley and Kelsey, with Powerhouse Women, because it's just a prime example of just how important it is to build a community of like-minded individuals, especially when you are creating something in an innovative way.
Oh, thank you. I will say, that's a huge reason why we started Powerhouse Women because it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like, as an entrepreneur, as we all know, it can get very lonely and you need people to bounce ideas off of and just ask for support or even just sharing a little win that happened in your day and having, at least one person cheering you on from afar is can just keep you going. And so we felt it in our industry, which is real estate. But like I said, any entrepreneur can feel that. And that's obviously a huge reason why we were drawn to start Powerhouse Women.
Pearl, in what ways do you like build community? Like what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe like entering into their entrepreneurship journey and they recognize that this type of thing is going to be important to have like a community of people around them, whether it's the same industry, different industry, just people to like support them. Do you have any tips for people of like how to find that or how to build that?
So I feel that starting with people who you know, right? And I say this with a sort of with a clause. Start with people who you know that will pour into you. And and sometimes I know when for me, when I started my own journey, there was a lot of fear around me starting my journey as an entrepreneur at 22, 23 years old, and rightfully so, right? And so sometimes within the people that I knew, it was sometimes my family and my close friends where it was their fear that got in the way that said, like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Are you positive? Like, it's kind of the road less traveled. And so it's great to love those people and to have them in your life. But when you're talking about entrepreneurship, what I will say is start with people that you also know will push you. And even if they're afraid for you, they'll still cheer you on, whether it's supporting you by introducing you to someone that can help you on the road or sharing your content. There's so many ways for people within your circle to support you. Another thing I will say is sometimes you have to go outside of your own comfort zone and with outside of your own circles. For if your circle is not a supportive circle, that's okay. Start with your interests. For me, as I've mentioned, like I love food. I love fine dining. I love fashion. And so I like to go to events where my world intersects with that. And perhaps maybe I meet a new client or I just meet a new friend. And you never know. Carly, I believe that you actually told me this once. It's like you can literally be in a supermarket and meet your next support system or your next client. So you never know whom you're going to who you're going to run into. But I also think as well too that it is intentional. Like um, for me, my community not only consists of think recreational community things that I love, like fashion and food, but also I'm huge on personal development. And so I love to go to networking events within my industry or parallel industries to the luxury world where I could learn something that's new and different and bring back and apply to my business. And for me, mind and body is equally as important as the education and learning. And so my community also consists of run clubs or health and wellness clubs that I can make sure that I'm fueling myself in that ways. And so when I think about trying to be the best version of myself, it's not just about the transaction of a business deal. It's about how do I create a sustainable entrepreneur lifestyle? And you sort of need a little bit of all of these circles. And for me, spirituality is important. And so, I am involved within my church as well.
I love it. I think you're right, right? Having these different like pillars. And you can build community around all of the pillars, but the things that are like ultimately important to you make a big difference. So
Absolutely.
you've been at this for 9+ years?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Time
long
creeping
time.
up.
It's a long time. How have you managed to keep your business like relevant and growing and moving forward? I think, it's easy for a lot of people probably to like see success early on and then they figure out, okay, how do I like continue up from here? Or the opposite, right? A lot of people when they start a business, it's like, things are not so great and maybe like they burn out quickly. But yeah, I mean, that's a long time to be in business. So talk to us a little bit about like how you've managed to keep the ball rolling.
Oh, so yeah, when I think back at the event planning business being 9 years old, it's like during that time, just to give you context, like survived the pandemic, which we're still all recovering from that. I feel like it was like yesterday, but it was really not. But there's just so many things in life that happened that you are right. I definitely resonate with what you shared, Kari. Like there's burnout, there's how do you keep relevant and sustainable, especially in such a hospitality, visually driven business. And for me, there's several ways that I like to keep relevant. First off, I just focus at its core, I focus on doing the best that I can with the clients that we serve today. And our colleagues, our vendors, treating everyone the best that we can. And word of mouth has been so crucial to the success of our business. So that I feel is incredibly important. Secondly, as an innovative company, and especially in the world of AI and all of this tech and innovation, staying true to like pursue the growth and learning, but stay true to who you are. And again, just having a consistent product that people can rely and count on. You cannot substitute AI for that. People will continue to seek you out if you are consistent and reliable, and you can provide them with a peace of mind and a great service and fun doing it. Okay. And so I definitely would choose to focus on that. And I also, for me, I shared with you my purpose and my why in terms of entrepreneurship. I believe it is important to have a cause that is greater than you, because I mean, some days I wake up and I'm like, woo, let's do this. And then other days I'm like, oh man, like this is hard, right? But on the days where life is lifing and we're just being real and honest, I for me, it's important to tap back into why I'm actually doing this. And that's what keeps me going through not even just the hard days, like the hard seasons. And they do come. And for me, I think that I'm very naive. Sometimes I have a picture in my mind of like a 3-year-old banging on pots and pans. Like, and I say this because you cannot tell a 3-year-old that the music that they're creating, banging on pots and pans, is bad. They just believe that it's amazing. Okay. And sometimes you just have to be that naive to believe that this is great and everything's going to work out.
That's what I tell myself every day.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, I'm like, this is going to be a great day. It's all going to work out. Just keep moving forward. It does.
Yeah. You have not had a day that you could not come back from, right?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Kelsey, you are still here.
Barely hanging on by a thread.
But we're all here. We're all here. That's just the world of entrepreneurship. But I'm curious, what does now that we're like kind of talking about that stuff, what does your day-to-day typically look like in a role of yours?
Okay. So a typical day-to-day when I'm home, so I do travel often for work, but if it's an office day, I wake up, have you guys heard of like the 5 a.m. ritual? There's like a whole book around. Oh, well, there's I'm going to send you a whole list of books. Please put in the notes. Okay. Again, like, I'm a nerd. Like I am such a nerd where like I'm like, what are other successful people doing? Or I just love practicing new techniques. So there are several things that the quote unquote most successful people do in a day to prime your mind and body and soul for just optimization. And the first thing when you wake up, you pray or just acknowledge a higher power, acknowledge that gratitude. Okay. So if you don't identify with prayer, you can say thank you, right? Then there's meditation, visualizing yourself, like who is your future self? Like, what are you grateful for? And then you visualize who you want to self. So there's meditation. Then there's listening to something. I listen to something that is motivational or educational, which is probably why I have like all these motivational quotes. And
you have so many. It's true.
I do. exactly. And then I need to move my body. Okay. And so that is important for me. I like entrepreneurship, being an event planner. There is a great deal of stress that does come with it, and that's natural. And so for me, I love to move my body, and on a great day, I'm always watching a sunrise. Like I will wake up at 5 a.m. just to watch the sunrise because it's something that just fuels me personally. And so I do practice the 5 a.m. ritual. And for me, the day always begins with prayer, gratitude, and sunrise. Like that is my non-negotiable, and a run or a walk. These days I'm walking because I'm tired.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, yeah. And every day, I think that as in my line of work, every day is very different. There's a lot of admin work. A lot of times our clients think that we're just producing these like gorgeous events, but like an average event takes like 600 hours to plan, and a lot of it is site visits, spreadsheets, negotiating with vendors. And so there's a lot of admin work. And I also love to make time for when I can, whether it's going out to dinner with friends, or usually during the evenings, I'm networking. And if I'm off for the night, I'm curling up with my cat. And yeah. Yeah, we're curling up and watching Netflix. So that's how I like to unwind during the weekdays.
I love
it.
that.
I feel like we're all a little bit similar in the sense of like we are out and about a lot, like trying to do networking and meet new people and go to all the things, but also can appreciate just like a cozy night in. It's needed.
Oh, of course. It's needed. It's part of the process.
It is. It is. I guess now kind of going into what you do outside of work. Like, what do you do to keep yourself grounded? Like, what are your non-negotiables?
Definitely a run.
Yeah.
Running's my muse, and if I'm not running, I'm walking. So that is like super important to me. I have been trying to take more trips that fall outside of work. And so even if I do have to, for example, I was just in Italy 2 weeks ago. I made sure I had some personal time and had a lot of fun there. And for me, I really enjoy just like spending time in nature. Like that, like even if I live in Miami, like I live in a vacation city. I love walking in nature. I love walking on the beach. And you would think that it's like giving me like $10 million every morning. Like that's how happy it makes me to just watch the sunrise. And so that's really my non-negotiable.
I love that. That's how I feel in the summer here in the Hamptons. Not so much in the
Mhm.
winter, but I can definitely relate in the summer, just being out in nature and walking on the beach and just like taking a moment for yourself to just like breathe in that salt air, or just
Mhm.
like, I don't know, grounding yourself, having your feet in the grass or in the sand. And it really does wonders. It does wonders to me. So
Yeah, why is that the best thing ever? Just like putting your feet on the ground. Like it really is. I was in 30A Florida last week, and it was a hectic week. I was at like a real estate conference type thing, so it was just being with people and talking nonstop. And I finally got to the beach on like day 3 of being there, and I could not take my shoes off fast enough, and just like putting my feet in the sand, I felt like I could take a big exhale. Like my body felt it. I was like, this is crazy. Like the energy that you get from the earth is just next level.
There's actually studies that are like shown that grounding yourself and like planting your feet on earth, whether it's grass or sand, does have like that effect. I know I feel it, and we all do. So there's definitely something to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is a good time to get into our hot takes. Every episode, we like to wrap up with a hot take. Ideally from each of us. They can be anything. We've had some really fun ones on here. Who wants to go first? Pearl, did you come with a hot take today?
I think I need an example of a hot take.
Okay, me and Kelsey will start. Kelsey, do
You
you
can go
have one?
first.
Okay, all right. My hot take is that I personally don't think power yoga should be a thing. Like, I think we could all be fine without power yoga. I think that it can go away. I don't really think it ever should have been created in the first place. I personally like yoga, but when I go to yoga, I want to like breathe and relax and like maybe lay in shavasana for 20 minutes and meditate a little bit. And every time I go to a power yoga class, I am like dripping sweat, my heart rate's elevated, I feel like a little bit anxious, like you're like lifting the weights, and I'm just like, this is not aligning with yoga right now. So that's my hot take. I don't know. I know a lot of people love power yoga. I have friends that go like multiple times a week, but it's not for me. I don't think we need it.
To be honest, I didn't even know power yoga was a thing.
It's a huge thing. It's like you go to these classes and there's weights that you have to have, and you're like standing in warrior two, like flapping your arms with the weights, your arms kill, and it's like 100 degrees in the room and you're sweating, and it's the least relaxing thing you can do. So I wouldn't recommend.
No, I hear you. Listen, I feel that way. Like every time I'm thinking about going to yoga, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be like relaxing. It's gonna be so meditative, and I am dying. I've learned to just sit in the back of the class. And I'll like fall over and like have to laugh at myself. But oh my goodness, like you are really working out.
I have a really good class, Pearl, that I'll take you to, and I promise it will change your mind. It's Sundays at 4 o'clock. It is the opposite. It's the most relaxing thing ever. You don't have to do any like crazy balance poses. I have actually drooled on my mat before because I was like half asleep and that relaxed. So we'll plan that.
Amazing.
I'm such a Pilates girl. That's probably why I have no idea what that is, but now I feel like I need to look into it. I need to see if there's one in the Hamptons just so I can try it out.
Try it out. I would love to see what you think about it.
Okay. I'm putting that on my laundry list of things to do. Okay, my hot take, and this could just be like either just the moment that I'm in right now or just the way that the world of social media is going and how a lot of people are just getting exhausted of it. But I'm just finding all content on social media to be tacky these days. And
That's a good one.
I'm really like struggling personally with my own content because it's like people are talking about how you have to jump on the trends, and I'm finding the trends to be tacky or like not true to my brand. And then I'm like, but then like what do I post? And so I'm just kind of like in this, I don't know. I'm just finding that all content is tacky right now, and I'm trying to figure out the direction of my own content to not make it tacky.
That's so true, because you want you want your account to grow, and like we're told that we have to do all these things if we want our accounts to grow, which for us is also our business. But it's like, what if it doesn't feel aligned? And you know what I was thinking about the other day? I'm like, like if we go back and we look at, I don't even know when Instagram started, like 2012, 2013, I have no idea. But if we go back and we look at what we used to post in like the early days of Instagram, now we're kind of like appalled because we would put all those horrible filters and stuff like on our pictures. And we're going to feel the same way in 5 years when we're like, why was everyone having like text all over their Instagram feed? Like every post has text on it, and like text boxes or this, or it's like, I feel like it's a trend right now, but in another few years, we're going to be like, what were we doing? So it's just like, yeah, it is kind of,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of cringy, like not
Yeah.
aesthetic stuff out there right now.
And I don't know if it is like my whole entire feed, because I'm also a personal stylist, is either styling content or it's real estate content, and there really is no in between. Um, some lifestyle stuff, of course, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like a phase that we're all in social media wise or not, but yeah, it's just, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just struggling with it. And I've been feeling this way for a while about social media and the content that's being put out there and how tacky it is. Like, I'm sorry, but like real estate agents dancing in front of listings or in listings, like, I'm just like, are you is doing it for attention? Obviously, it's like stuff like that that goes viral. But I
Mhm.
find it to be so tacky. And I'm like, but wait, we're real estate agents, and it doesn't matter whether you're in the luxury space or you're not. We're still in like this professional role, and I don't know, dancing and kind of like making a fool of yourself. Yes, it will go viral, but is that doing your business any good? I don't know. So that's my
I
hot take. I
agree.
just go back and forth.
I have a feeling that the next trend is going to actually be the absence of phones and social media. Like, I think that's going to be like, whether it's a trend or a next big thing, but even there are certain restaurants that are actually starting and speakeasies that are actually starting to adapt a no phone policy and to really be present and immersed in the moment. And I feel that there's going to be a point where us as a society, we're just going to say, like, this is just too much, and go back to like the trend, and the in thing is going to be like being immersed and present and unplugged. So, and when the trend does come to fruition, just make sure that this part of the podcast you
You heard it here
don't
first,
predict it
okay?
Yeah.
correctly.
I would honestly love that. We just get so like overly stimulated all the time. I feel overly stimulated every day. And I'm like, I just want to like put my phone down and like get away and get in nature and like do the things you're saying. But then I'm like, well, I have to run my business and that's on my phone and I need to post on social media because that's a part of my business. And like it's exhausting. It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
It really is. So what's your hot take, Pearl?
So my hot take, something I'm really passionate about right now, is that I believe that napping should be a part of the workday.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Oh
yes.
yeah. Yeah. And when I was first off, fun fact, I love napping. Okay. Like, I take my naps very seriously. Like, if I'm I'll nap for an hour. I do. Um from time to time. And I've learned to actually embrace it. And I don't, for some reason, like, feel like in the United States, right, where we live, it's like if you tell people like you nap during a work day, it's like, oh my God, nap, right? But I like
It's
my
like
naps.
frowned upon. Like that
Yeah.
person is
Oh,
instantly lazy. And it's like, why?
exactly. But listen, I was in Italy 3 weeks ago. It was life changing. I said, we are doing it all wrong over here. And this time I said, we are doing it wrong. Okay. Because they literally like shut down everything, every business for like 3 hours, and they have big lunches and they rest. I was like, why are we not doing this? And they're happy. They live longer, they're less stressed. I think that napping should be very much part of the process.
I agree. I agree that and like at least a 4-day week. Why do we need
Oh,
5 days?
100%. Yeah.
Like, I'm on
I
An
board with that.
afternoon
absolutely.
siesta. That's what they call it, right? In Europe, a little siesta.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, like after my life is forever changed. Like, seriously. I wanna know who wrote these old school rules that we have to like wake up at, start work at 8, work till 7, and work 5 to 6 days a week. No. Mm-mm. Napping
No,
should be a part of the process.
I agree. There's nothing
I
wrong
fully
with like
agree.
at least a 20-minute power nap. That's not
Mhm.
lazy. It's 20 minutes.
I think it's great.
It refuels you. You get a little recharge, then you get back to
Mhm.
it.
I love it.
Well,
That's a good one.
thank you. Thank you for being here today, Pearl. Where can everybody find you, connect with you, check out your company?
Absolutely. So you can find me on all social media channels at by Delsie. And you can also check out my website at www.bydelsie.com.
Amazing. And it's so aesthetic and beautiful, and just like your whole vibe and your whole brand is something that people will enjoy. So I'd urge you all to check it out.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Pearl.
being here today. We loved our conversation with you, and you are so inspiring, and your energy is infectious. And I'm just happy that it gets to get shared with the rest of the world.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being here. Thank you for having me. Seriously.
Of course.
Thanks,
Talk
lady.
soon.
That's a wrap on this episode of At the Table with Powerhouse Women. Thanks for tuning in. If you loved today's conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review.
Your support helps us keep pulling up more seats at the table.
Want to keep the conversation going? Join the movement at powerhousewomen.com/society.
And connect with us on Instagram at Powerhouse Women.
Until next time, keep showing up, keep building, and remember, there's always room at the table for you.